That's it?
Yeah, that's
Perfect. Good, because I got my kids in my office. Once you guys actually pass or approve the CIP, you still need to vote on each of the appropriations.
Okay.
You guys already voted on 99% of it. The only ones you didn't were the ones that were funded straight from CIP stabilization. And then the other is just moving basically 50% of free cash into our stabilization accounts. Real standard. These actually didn't even need to go to Ways and Means really, but it could have waited. I just wanted to invest some money. Oh,
So it's 3.3 million plus 1.3 million?
no. Take a look at this. She typed it up wrong. That's the actual order. So it's 3.3 in total. That's the breakdown. It's very confusing the way. Oh, that's the 175.
Those are portable radios?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Turnout gear. They're bunker gear.
All right, this is the Committee on Ways and Means.
The-
This is
well,
Tuesday, December 27, 2016, we're at
that
6:30
one's for the two
p.m.
studies that are gonna be
Council De La Sola.
Here.
Council DePiero.
Here.
I have Council McLaughlin.
Here.
We have 3 members present, we do have a quorum.
Stand up and salute the flag, please.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first piece of business, an order up by Councilor Heelan as president, that the sum of $3,352,613 be transferred and appropriated from the budgetary fund balance into capital improvement stabilization fund in the amount of $1,005,784. Other post-employment benefit liability, $1,005,784. And the stabilization fund, $1,341,045.
Council McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Demas. Mr. Demas, thank you for appearing tonight.
Thank you.
Can you just briefly explain, I think that this is a more protocol type matter, is that correct? But can you just explain where we came with this?
Yes, this is a relatively routine matter. It happens once a year. Once the city's books are closed and our free cash is certified by the Department of Revenue, this year it was certified at $6,700,000. Per city ordinance, we actually transfer 50% of free cash into the various stabilization accounts. This year, it's $1 million and change going into CIP stabilization, $1 million and change going into the OPEB trust fund stabilization, and the balance of $1,341,000, which is going to go into the city's general stabilization account.
And these line items or earmarks are for nothing of specific purpose, or are they already earmarked for a certain expenditure?
None of these monies are earmarked for any specific purpose. They're amounts that are set by ordinance to be consistent with the city's conservative principles of setting money aside in anticipation of future needs.
Okay, so again, there's no reason for any number to go into one versus the other on the breakdown of the 3.3 million. It's just
It works out to be about 15%, 15%, and 20%
okay.
into the various, and that's how the breakdown is attributed to. These monies have nothing to do with, or are tied to any anticipated request for appropriation in the future. They just go into the balances so that they can be used as a funding source by city council as they deem necessary regarding future appropriations.
I'm not going to, I'll yield the floor in 1 second. Can you just explain to me, what is OPED and what the OPED trust fund, what function does that serve for our city?
Sure. The OPEB trust fund, OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. There is a cost to the city when an employee retires from service. The city still subsidizes, under Mass General Law, a portion of their health insurance. As such, there is a cost. It's a liability that the city has always had on its books. However, in recent years, probably it goes back the past 5 years, accounting principles have changed and required the city to both quantify that number, that liability, and report it as a component of its financial statements. As such, conservative principles state that cities need to start funding this liability. And as such, the city, 2 or 3 years back, enacted the OPEB Trust Fund Stabilization Account to offset these costs in the future.
Council DePiero, you have questions?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. All my questions have been answered. Thank you.
From the chair, what did we do last year?
What were the amounts last year?
Yes, you had,
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. However, last year's free cash was roughly about $5 million. So in total, you would have put in into these various accounts about $2.5 million. This year, we're doing $3.3 million, which again is 50% of the 6.7.
okay. All right, thank you. Council McLaughlin?
Mr. Chairman, just real quickly, what attributes the increase of $1.7 million this year in free cash versus, so last year we certified $5 million in free cash, right? This year we're at $6.7 million in free cash. What attributes to $1.7 million additional this year in free cash?
I could talk for about an hour as to what caused those differences, but if I could very simply.
I don't expect that, absolutely.
Very, very simply, conservative budgeting.
Okay.
So conservative estimates on our anticipated receipts. When we collect more than what we anticipated, the balance flows into free cash.
So it's
and
really our
budgeting.
city employees doing a better job this year of stepping up to the plate in representing the city financially in your department better than in year past. Is that fair?
I wouldn't be able to say that it was better. I can tell you that everybody in the finance department has been doing their job.
Yeah.
And working together as a team. It was a very good year for us.
Great. I'm going to move for favorable action on the item.
Second the motion?
Favorable action? All in favor? Ayes have it. I want to thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
No.
Oh, I apologize.
All right, item number 2. Item number 2, the order of like, that Council Newman President, to transfer the total amount of $175 into the CIP stabilization.
Council McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Mr. Demus again. Mr. Demus, can you just give a brief synopsis of what the $175,000 various capital improvement
Sure.
accounts are? Do you know them?
I do. There is $60,000 that was approved for the police department's portable radios. Another $65,000 was approved by City Council as part of the CIP for turnout gear, the gear that the firemen wear in the fire department, and another $50,000 for traffic studies to be conducted this year throughout the city.
Turnout gear, do you have, and I'm sure I can talk to Chief Cowley about the same time, turnout gear, do you know much about the turnout gear as far as how many firefighters are equipped with this gear? I know, so just for the people at home, turnout gear is, and we seen it just recently at a major fire in the city of Cambridge. Council Del Solar and I were both at. Firefighter gets soaking wet from water. They have another set of gear that they can churn in, that they can switch because their body's filled with water at this point. So that's the purpose of a turnout gear. But I was just wondering if how many sets of gear we're able to inquire with the 65,000. I don't know if you don't know that, that's okay.
I don't know that off the top of my head. What I can tell you, though, is that each and every fireman that is a member of the fire department does receive their own personal set of turnout gear.
And do you know how often that is rotated? How often every so many years that the turnout gear gets replaced? Do you know that?
My
Again.
estimate would be roughly about 5 years, but again, that's contingent upon, that would
Sure.
only be an average. It's contingent upon how the gear survives, the number of fires, the number of incidents that they're involved in.
Oh, okay. And I have some questions regarding the police radios, but again, I can talk to Chief Measy about that type of stuff, which is how many radios, just so that we are all on the same page of how frequently we're turning this gear over for our first responders. You want to make sure that your first responders always have updated equipment, what they need to be able to do their job. So I can talk to the chief about the police radios. I didn't really expect you to have that information, but I appreciate all of your efforts and all your due diligence that you do in our finances department. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add it, just if you want to talk about the radios, the portable radios for the police department. In speaking with the chief, the city is in good shape regarding their portable radios, but they are expendable items. So his goal is to constantly make sure that everyone on duty has an active and up-to-date portable radio. In addition, the city council had authorized as part of this year's budget to expand the number of police personnel. So this is also going to go to purchase new radios for additional personnel.
Council DePiero?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Demus, to your knowledge, have we received any grants to coincide with the funding for these expenditures, or is it just all city-funded?
Not related to these specific expenditures, no. We have not received any grants,
Okay.
not in the past year.
Thank you.
Council McLaughlin?
$50,000 for the traffic study, Mr. Davis. Is that money earmarked for the circle out here, the island that we've been talking about for the last few months about reconfiguring the Webster Street, Church Street island there? Is that part of the $50,000 for the traffic study, or is that a separate traffic study?
This is additional funding for traffic studies, of which the study you're referring to will be charged to this account, yes.
Okay, so the $10,000 that we're spending for the traffic study here will be earmarked out of this $50,000.
It will.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to ask a question. You rule me out, Mr. Chairman, if I'm off topic, but the police radios are the portable radios that they carry on their waistband. Is that
That is correct.
okay? I was hoping it was going to be for computer mechanisms in the cruisers, but
That was my next question, Council.
yeah, exactly. So that was. I'll yield the floor to my colleague, but afterwards I would like to talk to you about something, and I'm sure all of my colleagues would as well.
That was my next question. I don't want to get off the topic, but I know I talked to a few police officers, and they're very, getting a little nervous not having a radio system, the computer system in their vehicles. If you can answer that, if you can't, that's fine.
I can tell you that the mayor recently met with various members of the police department to look at ways in which we can improve how they actually patrol and address any concerns that they had. That was a topic of discussion. It's something that the mayor is willing to look at. He's actually asked me to work with the police department and coming up with a number so that in the very near future, we'll be coming to city council potentially with an additional request to address that very issue.
Because what happens is, I talked to a few police officers, Council McLaughlin was with me. When they pull somebody over, they get the license plate, they call into the station. The time it takes to get the information about the person they pulled over, if they had the computer, it'd be instant. They know if it's, a routine pulling someone over, or it could be someone that has a warrant out for their arrest. This is a big concern with a lot of police officers, so this is why we're concerned about if it is in the budget or if it's something we talked about, what you think you said It is, you have talked to the mayor about it, so,
It's something that we do not currently have appropriated in this year's budget. The mayor certainly recognized the needs when this information was shared with them, which is why the mayor instructed me to work with the police chief to come up with a number so that we can come in with that information, making that request to city council in the very near future.
okay. Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to elaborate on this much, but Mr. Demus, Senator DiDomenico and Representative McGonigal had worked on getting a line item in this year's budget for police computers in the cruises. Senator DiDomenico had worked closely with the chief and came up with a number of $75,000 that would be sufficient to equip all of the cruises with the software that they would need. Unfortunately, due to 9C cuts of the governor in the past 10 days or so, that item has been cut. Hopefully, there's a supplemental budget that they can be able to get through to get some of the funding back. But that was one of the line items that were cut that is dramatically impacting our city for the safety of our police officers. So I think the number that I'm hoping to see come across our desk at some point is $75,000, because talking with the chief and the senator, they both feel as though that would be sufficient to be able to equip our police cruisers with the computers. So I don't know if that's helpful to you, but I was privy to those conversations several months ago when the senator put the line item forward in the budget during budget session in the past summer. And unfortunately, just recently, that before it was sent out and appropriated, the governor cut it with the 9C cuts.
Yes.
So hopefully, we're looking at something around 75 to 100,000, and I'm sure that's a small number to spend to keep our police officers safe. Because as Councilor Del Sol said, they appear to a car that they don't know who the person is inside that car, and they may be in routine traffic or it may be a severe situation. So I just wanted to take your time on that, but I appreciate you listening to our concerns, and I know that you take them as seriously as we do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Move for a favorable recommendation.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion during this part of the meeting, and we'll go out back and do the bills. Thank you. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.